It's a good morning to you. Welcome to Asake Online. My name is Zenzeren Ndebele and this is the Breakfast Club. Today in our program we'll be talking to Khalipani Phugen, who is the spokesperson for Dr. Thokozani Kupe, the president of MDC-T. Recently there were newspaper stories, or there were stories in the press that the MDC, Pollard was demanding cars and allowances, and Pollard is saying, no, we never said that, although we talked about resources, but we never talked about all-terrain vehicles and allowances. So we invited Mr. Phugen to come and talk about these issues, to hear what they think they've achieved so far in Pollard, and the allegations that they are demanding allowances, as long, also other issues to do with the political dialogue that is going on, and his view about many other things, because they are a political party anyway. They contested the elections in the MDC-T, so they exist as a political entity. So let's hear what they have to say about these other issues that we were talking about. Recently, we have seen stories in the press talking about Pollard is demanding cars and allowances. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is simple, really. That's what I've been saying over and over again. And people say I'm obsessed, but I'm not obsessed. Because we know that Chamisa is in a protracted political war with Dr. Kupe, really. And in that war, he has employed militias. We saw the example in Puera. We saw others here in Bulawayo, and as a result, the Bulawayo incidents, they were convicted in a court of law and there was no appeal. We also saw the same incidents in Harare when she went to the High Court. He didn't stop by employing these violent militias, but he also employed online cyber militia. And speak of the groups called the Zimbabwean Ikwe or the Eastern Ikwe. You speak of Hard Talk, Mauto Wasabe. If you go into those groups, basically what they will do, they will insult Dr. Kupe from morning till sunset on behalf of Chamisa. And he's there as their profile picture. They will even forcefully join Dr. Kupe in those groups. But now we've done something about it, so no one can really join her in any group without her consent. So he didn't stop there. He then went further to employ media personalities that masquerade as media houses and media personalities, when in reality they are just a group or a network of malicious disinformation campaign or arsenal of Chamisa. So with this background, you then appreciate how, and I want to quote here, how a statement from Nyikazino that he made on the 22nd at President Mnangagwa's farm was then turned to mean that Pollard has requested for cars and allowances. Now, here is a statement that Newsday, by the way, quoted as the source, or as it were, or as their reasoning, or as their conclusion, how they came to deduce that it means we want cars and allowances. Here is the statement, and I'm quoting it verbatim from the Newsday article. They say, of course, in any engagement and any intervention, you face challenges, and it is a reality. One of the difficulties we noticed was around funding issues. It's something that we need to quickly work around and say, this is how Pollard is going to be funded. And ensuring that those who attend Pollard can actually say, this is our project, and with resources available can trace targets till 2022. So that is a challenge you may need to engage your excellence. and find ways of dealing with the issue of funding this big national project. Now, in response to this presentation by Nyikadzino, the same Newsday goes on to quote the president's response to this request. And President Mnangagwa says, in May thereabout, when we created Poland, and he's using the word plural because there's this old noise that says this is a ETIS project, this is what it did. But he says here, he says, when we created Poland, we had not direct funding. But now this platform, which government must support, because it brings harmony. He tells you why government must support this. He says it brings harmony, it brings peace, it brings development in the country. Now this is very instructive, what I'm about to read here, and I'm quoting him verbatim from the Newsday. Development, modernization, and industrialization has a cost. So I am not averse as president to funding Poland because it brings convergence of political and economic views for our country to move forward. So the president tells you that what you have requested for, I am not averse in funding it. Why do I want to fund it? Because it's a cost for development. That's what the president says. Now, Newsday then jumps and disregard what the president says, completely disregard what Nyikadzino says, and say, actually, that's a request for a demand, if not even a request, that's a demand for allowances and all road terrain cars. I don't know what that means. And which is now fodder really for Chamisa to push his propaganda against Dr. Kupe. We know every time when they write these things, the face that really comes up is Dr. Kupe's face. So then they attack. Now, if you read Nyikadzino's quotation, indeed he said those things. But logically and academic, you can't come to the conclusion that Newsday comes to. So now Zimbabwe is in a frenzy. They are now insulting this and this about Poland. But Poland tells you exactly why we're gathered there. And the president tells you what he's going to fund and why he's going to fund.
I just want to get this thing straight. Yeah. That as Poland, you basically don't deny that there was talk about funding the whole project.
Of course. Look, for me to come here, yeah, I had to get here.
Yeah.
In one form or the other. I had to get here. I am here now. After this interview, I have to go back home.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to show you that nothing in life happens without funding. Even this organization of yours, you sit annually, or quarterly, or twice a year, it's really up to you. And you come up with your funding model to run your operations. How can Poland run without funding? It can't. But it does not follow that funding for Poland's operations, which the president did state what those operations are. Then you twist them and say it's for all road terrain cars and it's for allowances. And then as a result, we're critical. Now we're insulted left, right, and center. Now it's the political narrative. Now I'm linking back to my answer why I told you this is that malicious propaganda network that Chamisa has put together. That's why I keep saying this, and people keep on saying you are being harsh. There's hardly an independent or a media house that still retains integrity in this country. The irony of it all is that when this private media started, it started at the backdrop of saying the public media was pro-ZANU and was not giving other voices a platform, and it was churning out ZANU propaganda. Now, this so-called private media now is churning out Chamisa's propaganda. It is hostile to other players who are opposed to Chamisa. So, really, that idea of a free press is not free press to me.
So, I'll maybe ask you again and say, why do you think this is, or why do you think is a fight between Dr. Kupe and Nelson Chamisa?
Because of the unbridled quest for power from Chamisa. He is not a Democrat, he's a demagogue. I'm not insulting him, by the way. These are just terms to describe what he has done publicly. You have seen that. So he uses rhetoric, democratic rhetoric, to endear himself to people. but he has no business with any democratic principles and processes. You just have to look at the way how he usurped power. You just have to look at that. Now, this is what the Bible says. It says, Cain hated Abel because Abel's works were what? Were good. That's what the Bible says. So, to answer you shortly, Chamisa hates Dr. Kube because she's principled. She's extremely principled. And with him, by any means possible, he will get that power that he wants.
Maybe probably let's just talk about the work that you're doing at Pollard. You've seen several meetings and all this. I mean, looking at the next 2-3 months or a year or so, you know, do you think we are likely to see, you know, other issues on the ground or economic issues being addressed by that platform?
Okay. I am going to attend to that question specific, but let me not lose this opportunity to say something about us and our involvement in Pollard as MTCT and Dr. Kube, because so much lies are said out there, and I keep repeating this and no one is listening. This is what we said. We said as a consequence of the outcome of the election, we were left with no choice because we got round about 2% of the national vote. That's what we got, round about 2%. And we should have ended up with 4 people in parliament, but the case is in Mat North. Chamisa is fighting there. He didn't get the numbers. Some processes there unduly favored his people because of Zek Plunder, but he's fighting there. Basically, the point I'm making is he's not a principled man who says, I want processes that give an outcome favorable to how it was voted. You see, that only applies between him and ET, but when it comes to us, he doesn't do that. But basically, I'm saying we're supposed to be having 4 representatives in parliament. We ended up with 2. The other 2 were still fighting it out in court. So what that means is there's nothing we can do. We can't stop legislation. We can't make legislation. There's nothing we can do. Really, we can go to parliament, we can speak, the ruling party can ignore us. Now, no news flash again. Even if we joined with Chamisa and joined with Temba Muliswa, who's an independent, and joined with another, I think there's another one, I think it's the National Party or whatever, that one seat. We can join all of us together. We can't stop ZANU. We can't. They will make laws. They can stop whatever proposals we make. They can do anything really which they want. So, from a tactical point of view, when we approach the government and the government says, here is Pollard, we can create this platform where all of us can engage for political issues and economic programs. Dr. Kube, from a tactical point of view, said we've done these demos, we've done these protests for 20 years, we are left with destruction of property, our streets have become rivers of blood, people's kids are dying, yet none of the leadership's children are dying as a consequence. So she said, no, I'm stopping this nonsense. If the door is open, and because the MTC 2014 Congress resolution said, do everything to pursue a dialogue with the ruling party, to achieve what in that dialogue? To achieve a leveling of the playing field, so that in the next election, the outcome thereof is not contested. And you will notice that in Pollard, we're already discussing that. We're already discussing a bill, that's an electoral bill. That has to yank that. But back to the MTCT issue and President Kube. She goes there to negotiate with the ruling party. I sent you, before I came here, I sent you a bill that is going through Parliament now. You saw Honorable Priscilla Msiairambe's amendments to that bill. You saw the debate that was ensuing there. Msiairambe saying, we had engagements with the minister. The other word for engagement is dialogue. You see, that is where Zimbabwe miss it. They think, this dialogue is taking long, nothing is happening. No, things are happening. She says, this we engage with the minister. The minister had a give-in in that bill which we are going through. And there are other things that the minister said no. Like, for example, the minister came with a bill that says basic education is up to grade 7. Msiairambe says no, up to Form 4. And the minister agrees. And then Msiairambe says, school-going children, it's up to 18, and the minister says, no, I don't want up to 18, I want anyone who goes from grade 2 or from ECD up to Form 4. That's a dialogue that is ensuing there. And you see in that bill, there is also sanitary ware put there. Eventually, you see even MTCA MPs contributing in that debate. There was something striking there. I don't know if you picked it up. Not even one of them said there's anything wrong there, especially with the sanitary ware issue. They spoke so passionately about how this thing will help their child and whatsoever. Those are takeaways that Dr. Kupe has received through that dialogue platform. If we didn't involve ourselves in this dialogue, where were we going to get access to the ministers and the president? We're never going to get that access. So today, when you see Dr. Kupe going to the farm, as she said, to feed those fish, she's feeding those fish so that your kid and my kid, for some reason, if we don't have money to take them to private school, they can go to school from ECD to Form 4 for free. So that the girl children who are really carrying the burden of a faltering economy, unfairly so, can have free access to sanitary wear and, by God's grace, prevent cancer and other diseases and even retain their dignity and be able to go to school like boy children. So this is what we have achieved as a party from dialoguing with the government part, which really you can say whatever you want to say, even if we don't get anything going forward, and I pray we get even more. We have overachieved. Because no party in the world with 0.6 representation in parliament can achieve what we have achieved. You can't. Here is a question that the people of Bulawayo always say, or the people throughout the, in fact, the Chamisa says this. He says, I'm not talking to those people. Those people are useless. Those people were rejected by the people. Okay, that's a flawed argument. I can debunk it later, but now I want to, let me accept it. Let me just say it's true. We were rejected by the people. He was accepted by the people. What has he delivered with that acceptance by the people? I'm not asking for a lot. I'm just asking for one. I've produced a bill that is dealing with free education, that is dealing with free sanitary wear. What has he achieved for his acceptance? Zero. It appears to me, Zimbabweans, that we must be more worried about outputs, not rhetoric.
So why is it so difficult for people who are in the opposition to actually work together for the betterment of the country?
That's a wonderful question. But guess who you must be asking this question? It's Chamisa. That's the person who must be asking this question, because right now we don't remember we're part of opposition. I have given you two things we have achieved on right away. I've given you two. We have achieved. It's there. They can say whatever they want to say. It's on record. History will have it that Dr. Kupe, with 2 MPs in parliament, achieved free education, achieved free sanitary wear. That's what we achieved. It's on record. Now, it's for the people, by the way. Dr. Kupe does not have kids of school-going age. The daughter that she has is a lawyer. She can manage anything that has to do with her hygiene. She can manage that. So it's not for her. It's for the people of Zimbabwe. It's the other guys that you must ask, that their strategy, because it's a tactical issue, their tactics of going around, burning property, calling kids of other people to the streets, getting them killed, and later describing them as stupid. What has it yielded?
So why do you think, you are talking about the dialogue that is going on. Why do you think the public has this bad perception about Pollard? Because of the disinformation campaign by Chamisa and the enemies of the country. Because if you were to ask an average person, if you go on the streets here and ask an average person, what is Pollard's mission? They don't know. They don't know. They will give you the mission that was churned out by Newsday. And yet we released a press statement there that gave about 8 points that we're dealing with as Pollard. Right now, as we speak, I told you that we are dealing with the inputs to the constitutional amendment bill. We're dealing with that. We're busy with that. International re-engagement, we're busy with that. Other people want to belittle that. But you can't be an island in this global world, really. You can't. So we need to re-engage and belong back to the community of nations. Now, it doesn't stop there. There is, I think, something to do with peace and national healing and peace. There is the economic cluster there. I'm sure I saw something that they are going to do, an economic Indaba, something of that sort, or economic forum. Pollard is busy at work, whilst the critics are busy criticizing. This is what I told some of the members of Pollard, that dogs don't bark at a steel car, they bark at a moving car. This train is moving, this Pollard train is on motion. Unfortunately, those that want to stand on its way is just going to go over you. We are moving because the suffering of our people is too much. We don't care what they say. They can call us ZANU all they want.
we know what we're doing for our people. If being ZANU means we can provide free sanitary wear for our people, if it means we can provide free education for our people, it's fine. I will wear that take as a badge of honor.
So, I mean, people in the past, or almost all political parties in the past, they've always said ZANU is not genuine, and they will turn around and use you. As Pollard, do you think you're going to achieve what you want to achieve?
I want to say this to you. In any negotiations, it's give and take. ZANU dialoguing in good faith, I don't know. That's for the electorate to judge. But I am saying to you, we've been dialoguing with ZANU since the launch of Pollard. Yeah? We've already got, it's there in Hansard. I forwarded you the Hansard. We've already got free sanitary wear. We're on course to get free education from ECD to Form 4.
So probably you also mentioned the issue of the amendment to the Constitution.
Yes.
I mean, as your party now, not as Pollard,
Yeah.
as the MDC, what's your view on the amendment?
You see, this thing just happened. I think we got the proposed amendments, I think last week, and not as a party, we got them when we were in Poland. Because we are fortunate enough to be visited by the Permanent Secretary of Justice, Honorable Mapiz, I think. Yeah. She came, so she gave us those amendments. So we're yet to process them. I think our Vice President, Advocate Gutu, is the one better placed to guide us there. You know, we also have our Youth Secretary, Honorable Isabel Monzora. She's also a legal eagle. She's also going to be able to guide us there. So suffice to say, let me not try and be a TV journalist, sorry, to be a TV lawyer. I know nothing about that.
So, I mean, you have talked about some of the achievements that you've done in Poland. Yeah. I'm sure there are some challenges. Do you have any challenges that...
we do have challenges. Let me give you an example. You would have seen Minister Ziyambi, I think about last week or so, really being mischievous, you know, saying Poland must just shut up. They are not a government organization and all those things. I mean, it's those mischievous statements that are not helpful, especially in a hostile environment like this. There are the funding challenges which we did mention through New Casino there. It also doesn't help that the public is not willing to engage reasonable with this Poland concept. It's not willing. It just sits there, listen to the detractors of Poland and take that as gospel. So it doesn't create a conducive environment really for easy work for Poland. But hey, look, if this thing was easy, we won't be in this trouble. It's difficult, but we'll soldier on. We'll soldier on. History will look favorable on us.
Do you see, I mean, achieving, I mean, the objectives of Poland in the next 3 years?
I don't, let me put it to you this way. I don't, based on what is obtaining right now, I don't see why we shouldn't, right? Maybe resources may play a role there, it's fine. Maybe if ZANU has a change of mind, I don't know. But if I were to go by current form, I don't see why we shouldn't. I really don't see why we shouldn't. I know
I mean, you've talked about resources for quite a few times. Yeah. And that is always the issue. I mean, how would you want the whole thing to be structured, to be Pollard members to be assisted either by government or any other person?
Okay. To be quite honest with you, the challenge I have is that we don't have a spokesperson yet. I think by this weekend that will be sorted. So the questions are getting deeper and deeper about my views about Poland, and it's almost to the extent of me becoming the de facto spokesperson, and I'm careful not to do that. Yeah. Maybe keep that question. I will get Poland spokesperson to come for an interview.
As a political party, how would you want the whole thing to be funded?
Now, these are my views, which I'm yet to canvass with my leadership in political party. I would like to see Pollard become an act of parliament. Yeah. I'd like to see Pollard become an act of parliament. If you can make Pollard become an act of parliament, then you are able to control its processes and all those things and how it's funded and almost give teeth to its mandate. I really would like to see Pollard become an act of parliament.
I mean, in 3 years' time, we are going to be going to elections. Already we are, people are already in election mode. As a party, what are you doing on the ground to prepare for the next
personally
elections?
concerned, and I'll tell you why I'm concerned. Right now, as we are appealing to the ruling party to get part of our manifesto accommodated, and as you can see, it is accommodated. People ask me, how sure are you that this will be implemented? And I tell them that I'm not sure, and I don't have to be sure. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm not part of the executive. And why I'm not part of the executive, it's because that's how you voted, right? So, honestly speaking, if voters have not learned a thing or two over this period, I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them because we are where we are as a country because of how they voted. If they'd voted in a satisfactory way, we wouldn't be here. We would not be here, but they voted in the manner they voted, and now they want to turn back and say negotiate. I want to say this, and a lot of people don't understand this. Actually, even Pollard, it's happening at the benevolence of ZANU, really. With 68%, why would you negotiate? With 68%, why would you negotiate? Across the border here, across Limpopo, I think the ANC, and I stand corrected, is sitting at 56%. It's not negotiating with anyone. It's running that country, it's not negotiating with anyone. I'm talking parliament here because other people confuse the presidential and whatever. This country is a parliamentary run country. Laws are made in parliament, whatever parliament says, it's not encumbered by the previous parliament or the future parliament. This parliament is able to do whatever it wants. And I'm saying they're sitting with 68%. They can pass any law right now that criminalizes challenging an election outcome, that criminalizes challenging what the Concord has said, and they are not doing it. You see? So I really want to appreciate that they are magnanimous, so to speak, in victory. And their victory is not contested in parliament, rather, by the way, even by the MDCA. They are not contesting that. No one in this country contests that parliamentary win. And I'm saying they are magnanimous and they are accommodative thanks to how the electorate voted. And here is another shocking thing. You go for a by-election, guess what? They still vote the same. And it's a worrying thing. Because I don't want to be always doing Pollard, guys. This Pollard thing is not good. We're suffering here. Because for us, it's voluntary work. You see what I mean? For us, it's voluntary work. I can't be doing this voluntary thing. So come 2023, if they don't vote differently, I'm not going to be part of anything called Pollard or anything of some sort, of the sort.
I mean, finally, you are, as the party, you are members of Pollard, and like we have indicated that there are people who have all the different views. What would you say to someone who is not convinced that Pollard is going to deliver?
I can't help them. I can't help them because I can tell you what I have. I've got two tools in my arsenal. Is to persuade you with new light in hope that you are logical and reasonable enough that in the presence of new light, you are willing to change your mind. And evidence is showing me that that is not happening. Because we're going to finish this interview, you're going to put it on your platform, you will see how much I'll be insulted by some people. They're going to say, I'm unreasonable, I've got money from ZANU. When I've got nothing, I've said it online, I've got nothing from ZANU. If I had received anything, they should be able to come up. If anything, I'm a victim. I told some other platform that I had a plot which I had legitimately applied for during the Mugabe era. When Mugabe was out and this new administration came in, the DA and his office, unconstitutional, illegally so, and unprocedurally took it away. I tried to go to court, I ran out of money. I am here being a victim. But it does not mean that because I'm a victim here, everything must be rapished. No. And I want to say this to Zimbabweans, by the way. You will never have a ED and a Chamisa conversation or talk or dialogue under Chamisa's terms. And I'll tell you why. Because the president cannot do that without effectively undermining the constitutional order. because the CONCORD has dealt with this matter. So once the president opens it, he has effectively rendered the CONCORD dysfunctional. And if you render the CONCORD dysfunctional, you render the whole legal system dysfunctional. That's why President Thabo Mbeki, when he was here, that's what he spoke to. I hear people saying, when Mbeki is back and whatever. No, even if President Mbeki comes here, he is not going to facilitate talks because somebody claims they won and this other person lost. And no, that will not happen, because President Mbeki makes it clear that here in Africa and throughout the world, really, if we have electoral disputes, we take them to the courts. And once the courts make a determination, we all accept it and we move on.
Yeah, you mentioned something interesting, the talks with Thabo Mbeki, or the Thabo Mbeki visiting. Yeah. So do you think they are going to be, Pollard and other people are going to have talks being facilitated by Thabo Mbeki?
As Pollard, I know, and I can speak to this because my president, Dr. Kupe, is the head of Pollard International Re-Engagement. So I know that part of our calendar is Pollard now. Because last time when President Mbeki came here, of course it was reported that he met Pollard, but I didn't meet Pollard really. He met us as MTCT. It also happened that some of the people were comfortable going to that meeting with are also members of Pollard. But he was really meeting us as MTCT. But now we have scheduled in Dr. Kupe's schedule to go and see President Mbeki as Pollard in our international re-engagement mandate. So
are you open for negotiating with Thabo Mbeki and the other players?
We will always welcome the wisdom of Thabo Mbeki and any other players, as far as it does not encroach on the constitutional order that I spoke to earlier on. You see, because you see, this is what I find funny about this country. You've got a chance to vote, you vote. The outcome comes in the manner it comes, and then you say negotiate. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it. Let me give you an example in America. In America, Secretary Hillary Clinton got about 3 million to 6 million, but definitely not under 3 million. 3 million votes more than President Donald Trump. But because they don't use numbers there is to say you have got the highest number, you become the president. No, they use what they call an electoral college. So notwithstanding the fact that President Trump received 3 million or round about there less than Secretary Clinton, he is the president. There are no negotiations whatsoever. He is running the country. So in this country where we say no, because someone is disputing, because someone is saying, no, I was cheated, then therefore there must be negotiations. I wish you well. I wish you well. Yeah, I'm very weary of our thinking and how we're psyched, you know. Maybe just to say something about Dr. Kupe, really the person I speak on her behalf. Despite all these achievements that I have shown you through Hansard, how hard she is working, she's not going to be rewarded. She's going to be punished because the disinformation campaign says no, she's going there to ED because she has a relationship with ED. She's going there because she's going there for self-enrichment. She's going there because she's selfish. She's going there. And there'll be no evidence. There'll be no evidence to say, these claims, here is the evidence. And she tells you why she went there, and she provides evidence. I went there to ask for part of my manifesto to be accommodated, especially the one that deals with socio-economic. And she says, here is an act of parliament. Nothing. And maybe let me say this too. You know, when the Alliance says its public statements, they claim that they want to talk, but they don't want a GNU. Huh? That's what they say. Right. They want to talk, but they don't want a GNU. And they are saying our talks are useless because we can't get ZANU to move or act. Now, if they don't want a GNU, how are they going to get ZANU to act? Because here is the reasoning, and this is where the country misses it. We have done as far as we can do, and that's as far as Chamisa can do also, by the way, if he doesn't want a GNU. Because you can only get your program to be an act of parliament. That's as far as you can go. When it comes to implementation, it's the executive that implements. So if Chamisa does not want a GNU, which means he doesn't want to be part of the executive, So, which means he will achieve what we've already achieved. Get whatever his program is to, you know, like the flying of rural tomatoes, you know. He said he's going to put airports in the rural areas and then they fly tomatoes and spaghetti roads. And what's the other one, by the way? He said bullet trains, which I don't know how practical that is. So he can only get that to be an act of parliament. But what he can't do, he can't implement unless he's going for a GNU. And it will be amiss of me not to address Ubabu Chingatube, because I really need to address that.
Yeah, that was going to be my last question, but now that you can go on.
It will be amiss of me not to address Ubabu Chingatube. Yeah. Ubabu Chingatube says President E.T. must stop wasting time with us, you know, the Pollard losers, that's how he calls us. He says what? Excel in losing, something like that.
Successful failures.
Successful failures, yes. Very derogatory, but it's fine. He says we're successful failures, right? He says instead he must talk to Chamisa, right? And he favors you with the reason why, if you remember. He says we must talk to Chamisa because Chamisa has got what? Has got people. That's what he says. Yeah. So logically, this is his reasoning. He says if you don't have people, you don't have capacity, you are not capable. That's his reasoning. If you have people, you are what? You are capable. That's his reasoning, right? Now, I have just shown you a bill of someone without people in the form of MTCT and Dr. Kupe that has successfully gone through parliamentary stages. In the case of sanitary ware, it's there in the 2020 budget. The minister said it last year, Professor Ncube. He said it. It's there. So this person without people somehow is delivering on a socio-economical agenda. And this one with people, he has taken people to the streets and turned our streets to rivers of blood and later called those people stupid. Now, a reasonable person right now begins to see where I'm going with this. He really begins, or she begins to see where I'm going with this, is that Ubabu Chingatube's reasoning is flawed. It's so fundamentally flawed. It does not follow that because you've got fewer people, then therefore you are incompetent, and this one has got more people, then therefore they are competent. Unfortunately, that's not how life works.
What's your word of advice to the public? What would you like to say to the public?
Let me get spiritual with Zimbabweans, since we're a Christian nation. You know, I think over 80% of us are Christians. And I'm just going to say a statement, I'm not going to comment. I'm just going to put a text there and leave it for people to take out what I've just said. The stone that the builders have rejected has become the chief cornerstone, and this is the Lord's doing.
That was a very interesting program that I had with Khalipani Phugen, who is the spokesperson for Dr. Thokozani Kupe. He talks about the achievements that they've done as the MDC, and amongst other things, he says, you know, where have you ever seen a political party with 2%, less than 2% of the votes, managing to push the agenda and getting through, getting a bill through Parliament. And he says, as Pollard, they are moving. That was the only strategy that they had that they thought they could work, because the ZANU-PF could do anything because they have the majority. But they thought engaging the MDC, engaging ZANU-PF was the way forward. It's up to you to judge whether you think their approach is going to work or it's not working. We would like to hear from you as well, to say what do you think about this program and many other programs that we are doing. My name is Zenzele Ndebele. This was The Breakfast Club. Till we meet again tomorrow, have a good day.